hear from two scientists, and now it's your chance to ask questions that are kind of on your mind about either what Dr. Kai said or what Michael told us about environmental heroes. So if you have a question, raise your hand, and someone will come to you with a microphone. And think about your questions. Think about all that you've learned today, all that you've learned in the past about global warming, what you can do, and really think of some great questions while we have these two wonderful resources here. Okay?
Okay. How much greenhouse gas would you say is like just the right amount of greenhouse gas?
Well, right now, if we don't add more to it, if we try to reduce just a little bit, it would be just the right amount. Okay? The reason we don't want more is over the past hundreds of thousands of years, life on Earth has adapted to how much we have. So for us, for the living beings as we see, we like it just the way it is or a little bit less. Okay?
Carbon dioxide domes, how do they get squeezed up to the surface of the Earth?
When you burn it, when you burn wood, when you burn charcoal, then you release carbon dioxide to the air. It's a kind of gas. Yeah. But if you keep wood or trees as solid charcoal, then they'll stay as solid.
I also think Isha was referring to the rocks that were getting passed around. How did they get up to the surface, and how did you know to find them once they were at the surface?
Yeah. So, do any of you know the Himalayas? Yes? Do you know how the Himalayas formed? Okay, so since so many of you know, I'm just going to summarize it. Okay, it happens when two pieces of continent hit each other. Okay, and there's some material caught in between, so it was pushed up. Okay. Manhattan, actually, 300 million years ago, used to be a mountain just like the Himalayas. So there are processes on Earth that brings rock from deep down, from the mantle. So the mantle is under the crust, 50 kilometers in some places under the crust that we're standing on. So there are processes that scoops those rocks on the surface. And those rocks, they really like carbon dioxide. As soon as they see carbon dioxide, they start reacting with it. So the rocks that you just saw, which is still there, I can show you guys. Actually, I have a picture somewhere. So the rocks you saw are from the mantle of the Earth, and they react with carbon dioxide, and they form these carbonate veins. Let's see if I have a picture here. So these are two of my heroes, in fact. One of them studies these rocks. So this is a piece of rock in the Museum of Natural History. So next time you go to Museum of Natural History, look on the wall right outside of the African mammals exhibit. In that wall contains some clues to how we can how we can take the carbon dioxide in the air and put it down into the earth and store it there. So those rocks are actually called ophiocalcite. So the green part of the rock, or when you saw it, it's kind of yellowish part of the rock, used to be the mantle, 50 kilometers down in the earth, okay? And it reacted with the carbon dioxide as soon as it saw the surface and formed these veins of carbonate. And the reason that they're in veins is because it didn't have time to fully react with carbon dioxide. So we call these so the white stuff are called calcite, and together is called ophiocalcite. Okay?
You had two questions. So one is about how come a lot of people go to camp in mountainous areas and don't get malaria from mosquitoes? Is this something you should be worried about? And the second question is, in New York City, what are some things kids can do to help the environment, besides our banner, pledge banner?
Okay, so you should not be worried about getting malaria in the mountains in the US. And the reason why you should not be worried is because the weather is too cold for the mosquitoes that we require, the species of mosquito that carries malaria. So not every mosquito species carries malaria. So when you're bit during the summertime, you're not being bit by one single type of mosquito. There are many types of mosquito. There are over 500 species of mosquito. So those mosquitoes aren't in New York, so you don't need to worry. Things that kids can do. Well, a lot of it depends on your age, but there are lots of things that you can do. For instance, I think one important thing that you can do is, if you know in your own home that maybe you're not recycling, or mom or dad is not taking the time to put things in the right containers, you can encourage your parents in your household to do that. You can be a leader right in your own home. Or, if you want to do something working with other kids, you can look to go to a place like the American Museum of Natural History, where there are kids learning and doing things about for the environment all year long. If you're older, if you're in high school, you can go to, the museum also has a program called Youth Can, which is youth-driven. Actually, I think you can do this at almost any age, I shouldn't say that. There's a thing called Youth Can, which just happened this past April, where kids get together and they design their own projects for sustainability, and then you can present those projects around the world by teleconference and video. So if you have a really good idea, you guys should get together, really get a teacher to help you out, and you can show other students around the world exactly what your ideas are. You can always volunteer. So you can go to the Central Park Conservancy, or you can go to your local park, your local park ranger, city urban park ranger, and say, hey, what can I do to keep my park clean? So those are things that you can do.